off with Giordano, 2-on-1. Michael Backlund shoots, scores!
Benning, great move. Here is Benning, shot, scores!
Comes free to Shane. Blocked by Lucic. Ran him over.
And he wins it back to Foley, scores! No way! Oh my! No way! For Fiddler, backhand to scores! Oh my!
And it is Gilmore waiting around the net, waiting.
Backstrom slides it in front, scores! Jason Chimera!
Kept in by Matthews. Here it is. Scores! 5 minutes into overtime in Game 5. And McDavid scores! Game winner! Series winner for Connor McDavid! I have been Alberta bound for all my life. And I'll be Alberta bound until I die.
Welcome back to the 2 Months Podcast, presented by Pete's Concrete. I'm your host, Joshua Marshall. We are here recording on a nice Sunday night. We got Clay Vanderham. Vandy, how's it going?
Vandy is dandy. I was in a lacrosse tournament in Westlock. How do you put it? A well-organized lacrosse tournament, I might add. U11, U13. Nash plays U13 for the Warriors. Yeah, it was a good time. It's when you get to the spring's a lot different. Spring sports are a lot different than hockey sports because you don't really get to know the people all that well.
Yeah. So
we ended up staying because our times and stuff. I know Westlock's only an hour away, so we ended up staying the Friday and Saturday night. But yeah, good. We end up finding out we got good people on the team. I already knew the coaches were good just by watching them, how passionate they are with the kids. Chris, Ryan, and Adam, they're unbelievable. And these kids, lacrosse is
different.
It is different. Like, you got to be a different breed to play this game, man.
Yeah.
Like, it is. Even at this level, it's like I watch my kid, like Nash, play it, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, he takes abuse, and So here's the funny thing: the coach was telling me, he's like, you got to get him bicep pads, and I'm like, he's already covered, like
from head to toe,
waist, not head to toe because they don't wear anything on it, but he's waist to neck. And he's like, you got to get him because Nash likes to go into and Nash is pretty aggressive. So he'll go into the tough areas against the bigger kids. And so anyway, I've only seen 3 games this year because most of the games overlap with my older boys' inline team. And then you don't really, I guess the competition isn't really that good here in Edmonton. Well, it is. I shouldn't say that. Like, Sherwood Park is good, but so anyway, I'm watching my kid play this weekend, and he's getting whacked on the arm right where those bicep pads are.
Oh, no.
So anyway, we ended up getting him before this tournament anyway, but he shows me his arm because me and him stayed the night, and then my wife came Saturday, and I'm like, show me your arm, and it's like black. And I'm like, oh, good thing we got you the bicep pads, eh? So anyway, yeah, incredible. We got a good group of parents and people. It's fun. It's good, and I love seeing these kids play another sport besides hockey.
Yeah.
A couple of years they're gonna have to make a choice, either play spring hockey and are they going that road or whatever. But it's still it's a good time. And Westlock did a great job, bang up job. And here's the fucked up part. So I'm standing there, and all of a sudden, I look. I'm like, is that Heath Klein, a kid I used to coach 20 years ago? He's got like 3 kids in the program. He's president of Barhead Hockey or whatever. I don't even know what he is. I coached him. And I walk up to him and, oh, hey. It's like stuff like that where you're like, oh my God, good for you.
Yeah, run into some.
You run into people, and it's lacrosse community is a good community. It's pretty fun.
That's
good.
awesome. And we have our other co-host with us this evening. We got Brody McIntyre, aka the Closer. How's it going, Closer?
I'm good, buddy. A solid weekend. Just had a little taco dinner at my best buddy's house with the fams. Shot the shit, caught up a little bit. That was lovely. We watched the Dallas game. We watched Dallas beat Vegas, which was great. I got a couple lacrosse stories. One, I've always tried to get my kids to play lacrosse every year for the last decade, and they never wanted to, which is too bad because I feel like, one, it's a great sport. It teaches them to be tough. And I don't know if this is still true, Clay, but every player that I ever played hockey with growing up who played lacrosse had insane hands. Literally every single one of them, whether they were good at hockey or not, they all had insane hands.
So it's funny you say that because there were a couple kids that I'm watching on the other teams, and I'm going, okay, these kids got to be good at hockey. And you like nowadays you can look up stats. So there was one kid from Red Deer. Off the top of my head, I can't think of his name, but this kid scored every goal for the Red Deer team. If not, it was the other. There was another. He was number 58. He was captain and 43. But anyway, I look up his sure shit. Got a lot of goals in hockey.
Yeah,
Sure Park had another kid like that too. It was like
I think Sherwood Park's got a really good lacrosse program,
unbelievable, dude.
like top to bottom.
Well, it's so when I was growing up, Sherwood Park was the go-to lacrosse association, right?
Yeah.
And then those families don't leave St. Albert, they don't leave Sherwood Park.
Yeah.
They raise their families where they were raised, right? And all these dads brought in the program, and it's killer, it's stellar, it's good.
So the guy I was at supper with, his brother had a lacrosse scholarship. So he played here, but he played in, I think it was like Division 2 or 3. I don't know how it works for lacrosse in the States. Outside, is that called? Inside is box lacrosse, right?
Field. That's field.
Yeah, he played in field lacrosse. He'd never done it before, but went down there and he had a great time. Loved it.
I just learned, I didn't know what field was. I'm like, field lacrosse.
Yeah.
Yeah. And from being in hockey rinks a lot, you can walk into any hockey rink and look around and be like, oh, there's a lacrosse tournament going on. It is a little bit of a different breed of humans that are in lacrosse.
Well, the parents, kids, it's loud, it's chaotic. It is nuts, man.
Yeah, it's a little different.
It is nuts.
Not a bad way, but you can just walk in like, yeah, there's a lacrosse tournament here.
Yeah. It's good.
That's
you got a busy week coming up, don't you?
I have a really busy week going on. Yeah, phone's been buzzing. Lots
happening.
Lots happening here. So I'm told it should be really busy this week. So we'll see what happens here. It should be quite interesting.
Do you have what's the plan? Is there a set schedule for every day, or is it just kind of
no schedule? I'm just told there's just more and more phone calls and interviews and Zoom calls and that kind of stuff. So
yeah,
just chatting, and it's stressful though, man. Like it's gonna be some teams just gonna say my kid's name, and that's where he's gonna be for the next 3, 4, 5 years of his life. Right. That's a long period of time. It's a little bit stressful. It's exciting, and it's cool, and it's fun as well, but it is stressful. It is my baby boy.
Yeah. That'll probably be a little bit emotional too. So
it will be, yeah. Be fun though. It's good problems to have at the end of the day. It's pretty cool, right?
1000%. You got that right. So
Bosco, how are you?
Yeah, no, I guess good. Just doing some steps, making life better, and just some breaking news. I for the last couple of years I've been helping out and being a part of the MLAC program, and decided to leave there and join your alumni program that you were part of for years as a kid there, Vandy, and that's the Southside Athletic Club. I'll be joining Doug Ockenberg's coaching staff for the U17 AAAs as an assistant.
Are they the Bulldogs still?
They are the Bulldogs still.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to joining them and being a part of that journey. And you also getting on the ice here with Doug Ockenberg's underdog camps too. So just kind of getting back out there and, now working in Edmonton full time, and that's a good positive thing. So I'll be home. I don't have to worry about working out of town. So just some good things in that aspect, good for the mental health and good for, the hockey community in my eyes, of just being around some important people and everything that we've done with our podcast and helping those kids out, meeting some NHL players and practices and morning skates and all that other stuff, and getting to introduce themselves to some hockey players is going to do that at the Southside Athletic Club. So I'm looking forward to that. And, I understand it's quite the contrast and difference between Southside and MLAC. So looking forward to that kind of process. And as Brody said too, there's a lot of travel involved too. So definitely.
You know where you're going for tourneys or what?
Not yet. I haven't gotten that yet, but I'm sure Doug has that. I just got to do some more courses here, some coaching stuff, and get all signed up for that. And then some stuff I've done, some stuff I need to do, and then looking forward to that. And
as my youngest is probably going to join MLAC this year, I wish you guys the worst. I hope Terrence Scott and the MLAC U17 trip team kick your ass, but
Terrence has done
they were good this year, right? They were really good this year.
Yeah, Terrence is a good coach.
So. Terrence is he's an excellent coach, good human being too. Good buddy, that's good news. Yeah. So listen, Southside is a good program. I put it up there with the top ones in the city in St. Albert. Good for you, man. That's good. That's great news.
No, exactly. And then just a nice little thing too. I kind of put it out on social media, but I was at the Oilers the last game when obviously the Oilers took out the LA Kings. Kind of was walking down the hallway with some of the LA King players into the arena, and just kind of cool. I came around the corner and Drew Doughty was there holding the door for all the players. I just want to tell this story real quick before we get into everything. But so I kind of stood there waiting to letting the Kings players go through, and then Drew still had the door open, and I was like the last person, and he looked at me, and I was wearing our 2 months podcast hoodie. He's like, "Let's go, Mutt, get in there." So I was holding the door open. I got through, tapped me on the back, and then we started talking. Obviously, I had a good conversation with him, and obviously I have some mutual friends with him, and Trevor Lewis and Tyler Toffoli. So and he's like, I hear you help a lot of kids with minor hockey. He's like, if next time we're here, he's like, I don't know if we'll be here on Sunday, which they weren't here on Sunday because Game 7 would have been here Sunday, but obviously the Oilers closed that out in 5. But just a pretty cool guy. And then some of the Kings,
he's like a beauty.
Yeah, just a straight up like class act person. Like I had probably 7 minutes of a conversation with him, and like all the other players are kind of just standing there, like we're all just walking in together, and just kind of a pretty cool guy. And he's like, I heard you help some kids with minor hockey. He's like, if you ever need that, just let me know. He's like, if you need me to assist, he's like, we'll bring them in the locker room, we'll put them on the bench during our morning skate. He's like, I'll make sure Rob Blake says okay to it. And then it was like 20 minutes later, Rob Blake comes by. I was sitting in the stands, and he was like, "You have any kids here today?" And I said, "No, just by myself." He's like, He's like, he's like, we would have put a couple of kids on the bench. He was like, even if it's a playoff game, he's like, whatever we can do to help out, you let us know. So that was kind of nice.
Good people, good people.
Yeah, good people for sure. And the Oilers are good too. Like the Oilers without the Oilers me in, like there's no that stuff doesn't happen at the end of the day. And so Andrew Pierre at the Oilers and Jamie Carpel, Oilers organization, those are great people there too. And Sean May, who used to work with the Oilers, now works with the LA Kings. So, just great stick taps to people like that. It's just good to hear stories like that, and build some relationships for next year, and just positive things, and change the mood of my day right then and there. 7-minute conversation with Drew Doughty and some other guys there. So, I kind of want to look at Pierre-Luc Dubois and give him a pep talk and be like, let's go.
Yeah. So just fucking compete, buddy. Like, Jesus.
I just stayed in my lane.
Are we getting into it? Are we getting into the series now? Is that what we're doing?
Well,
segue. That's a segue.
It is a segue. It is a segue for sure. So, let's take a quick break. Let's get to our sponsors, and then we'll come back with a full conversation so we don't have any interruptions. So let's get to a few words from our sponsors right now, and we'll be right back.
Coach Rupper here from 2 Months. Thanks for tuning into the podcast. Now let's grab a knee. Have I got a deal for you? We have teamed up with Manscaped, and we can save you some big-time coin this upcoming NHL season. Guys, are your sticks and pucks getting hairy in the corners? And gals, is your goalie still using horsehair Coopers? Well, let's wake up! Use the code 2MUTS to save 20% plus free shipping on Manscaped products. Listen, we all love to score and we all want to win the cup. Why not do it on a fresh, clean, smooth sheet of ice? That way we all win. Manscaped is the only way to go. Again, the code is 2MUTS to save 20% plus free shipping on Manscaped products. Now let's bring it in. Manscaped on 3. 1, 2, 3.
When you hire a contractor, you want things to go smooth.
Smooth as a driveway poured by Pete's Concrete.
You want a solid guarantee.
Solid as a basement floor by Pete's Concrete.
You want Pete.
Pete's Concrete. For sidewalks, patios, your leaky basement, Pete lays his reputation down with every job, and he offers you finishes and colors you won't find anywhere else.
You want someone who proudly puts their name on the work they do.
Pete puts his name in concrete.
Pete's Concrete.
This public service announcement is brought to you by our friends at CDN. Here's a crazy thought. Not all teamwear needs a team logo. Stand out in the crowd and rep your team colors with one of CDN's hockey hats. Listen, these hats are phenomenal. We just got ours a little while ago, and we've been wearing them nonstop. You know when you find a hat you love and you just can't take it off? Yep, that's how we feel with our CDN hat. Every time we wear it out, we get asked, "Where did you get that hat?" I know what you're thinking. How can I get one? Cue the details. Shop online 24/7 at www.wearecdn.ca and use the promo code 2MUTS for 15% off your order. Again, that's www.wearecdn.ca to get your new favorite hat and use the discount code 2MUTS at checkout for 15% off your order. Now back to the show.
Our NHL News and Notes segment is brought to you by Sheena Boychuk. Yes, you heard that last name right. That's Sheena Boychuk. As a licensed realtor, Sheena has you covered to buy and sell your home in this hot market. She also offers home consulting services to help you upgrade your living space. Check her website out at sheenaboychuk.com and tell her the 2 Months podcast sent you. Realty by Design, your design approach to real estate. All right. So thanks for our sponsors there. Really appreciate that. Let's get to our Edmonton Oilers report first right now before we jump into the title of this podcast, which will end up being The Toronto Maple Leafs Core 4 is No More. That will be the title of this episode. We'll tease that for a second, but since we're here in Edmonton.
Brody's just got the biggest smile.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Just a quick thought, I guess, on the series between LA and the Oilers, Vandy, and overall thoughts from this series and as we see going forward here for the Oilers.
Wow. I mean, I'll make it like the series was short and sweet. Edmonton is trying to get over that hump. LA is on. It was like they were passing each other on the mountain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? LA's been there, Kopitar and Kempe. He probably wasn't there when they were winning, but it's contrast to two teams is, LA, I think, do you call it a desperate signing with Dubois and trying to hopefully that, because, I mean, listen, he's the kind of guy that you watch him and you're like, oh my, this guy could be a game changer, and then he never is.
Yeah.
And he's just like, where are you?
Soft.
You disappeared. And then you got Danault, who, Remember 2 years ago, or maybe even longer than that? I mean, he shut McDavid down.
And he shut Matthews down. He when he was with the Habs, he did a good job shutting any of Bruin down going to the Cup final.
Right.
And then that
Like,
first
was
year,
he even playing in that series?
You did notice him,
right?
Right? Yeah. Yeah. It was obviously it's not like
it was men against older boys.
Yeah. Well, it was funny because like everyone knows if they're basketball fans. I'm not much of a basketball fan, but everyone knows the clip of Sam Mitchell after a Raptors.
Yeah, zeros.
Like 0, 0, 0, 0. And unfortunately, that's what read for a lot of stats, especially Dubois, who had no shots. I know we finished with 4 points in the series, but in the last 3 games, he was.
Can I say what I said in the text? He's your prototypical kid that had been coached throughout his whole life and he's never seen adversity ever.
No.
So if he's I'm gonna go play there, I'm gonna go play there, I'm gonna go play there. Oh, you don't want me? I will play there. So he's never really seen adversity. And any adversity, I shouldn't say that because I don't know what his upbringing was, but I'm assuming that he seems like one of those kids that is moving from team to team, hopefully at a minor league level, not at and just hopefully something sticks. And now, I mean, obviously you're seeing it at the pro level. He's probably a great dude, awesome guy, because you think the Kings are going to take him in? Like with that leadership core, they're not going to take him in. He's probably a great dude.
Drew Doughty called him out earlier in the year, right? Middle of the year. And then he called pretty much him out at the end of the series too. But
he just can't put 2 and 2 together.
No.
He can't put the pro game together.
And just before we did this podcast tonight, I was watching a video from Nick Saban, who was a part of the draft coverage for the NFL 2 weeks ago, and he said no athlete in the NFL. Obviously, he's a college football guy, but he says not one player succeeds in the NFL without facing adversity. And the biggest people that face adversity are offensive linemen. So, that's what's his tie. It's a good 40-minute clip if people want to go try to find it on the College Game Day preview show. It was pretty cool. And he's talked about things like that in the past, but you couldn't say it anymore. Better, Vandy. Toss the mic over to you, closer. What kind of your thoughts? You've said some things in the past, but overall thoughts from this situation and the series.
Well, number one, Kempe, I wish he was an Edmonton Oiler. God, is he good at hockey?
And
he's fast, big, strong.
You're a big
plays the right way. I'm a big fan of him. But at the end of it, I remember sitting there going, was Moore even playing? Was Kopitar there? Did Deneau do anything? Nobody did anything on the Kings. I can't think of other than I thought Arvidsson was very good. But I know Vandy's not a fan, but I thought I noticed him a lot. But for the most part, we're just way better. And as an organization, I know they love that 1-3-1, but you can't win like that. Like you clearly can't. You're basically just hoping that you can win 1-0. Like, I don't know, you're not creating anything, right? How many times you're like, oh my God, that was 2-3 minutes of sustained pressure against the Oilers. Like it was a random shot here and there. There's a one game, but I don't know, man. That 1-3-1 is shit. Man, imagine having to do that as a professional.
LA was one and done. Like they dump it in and then Edmonton would clear it out and we'd get it on transition. It was
can't win like that.
No.
And one of the guys in the post, game, like the next day wrap up, mentioned that, talking about how basically they just sit back and stand there, and then they dump it in, and the others come flying in on us, and we're all standing still at center ice. Like he's like, it's a pretty tough way to play.
Do you want to hear do you want to hear what Kevin Fiala said about the 1-3-1? Did you guys hear that?
That might have been him.
Yeah.
He just said the right things, and it was a perfect answer. I mean, also for me, it will be a little more fun. We can create something on the forecheck. Right now we kind of have to break out. If they, I don't know. In my opinion, there's the 1-3-1 was very effective when they try to go through you. then there's turnovers happening and we can go the other way. But if they're going to rim it every time, chip it every time, that means one guy, we have to sprint back. We have to get the puck out. When there's guys coming at us with structure, and they rim it from the right side and two guys are coming with full heat on the left side against our standing still right winger, it's not very easy to break it out, So I feel like, obviously it would be fun to try something else.
Okay, number one.
Yeah,
I thought Kim Fiala was American.
No. He is from Switzerland, and that guy,
I did not know he was from wherever.
He is short, but he is like when I was walking in beside him, he is built like he is.
Well, yeah, he's
body is
shithouse.
Yeah,
right?
he is. Yeah, his upper body and even his thighs, like it's like he's built, and obviously you could see that he does a job out there for sure, and that was a big
him being like obviously one of the best players in LA. As a coach in minor hockey or whatever, as a coach in the NHL, do you listen to that and go?
You should. As an organization,
right?
Well,
and is that what separates like a Pete DeBoer or like a Dave Haxtell who just got fired out of Seattle?
Yeah.
Is there a disconnect in Seattle where it was his way or the highway, where Pete DeBoer would go, "You're right," you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
he obviously, just him explaining it, I knew that. To an average fan, they're probably not going to know what he was talking about. But
correct,
yeah, if they're coming at you 100 miles an hour, you're fucked.
Yeah,
you're standing there.
Yeah.
Right.
They did a good job. Obviously, the series 5-on-5 was pretty tight. Obviously, the special teams was the difference maker in the series.
But they didn't create anything, boss.
Oh, they did.
They obviously had chances, but for the most part, you're not creating anything. You're just sitting there waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting.
Yeah. And like Drew Doughty said, there's no rivalry here. Like they've been knocking us out for 3 years in a row, and this series it's gotten worse, right? It's in that series it was a 4-1, and I think LA was lucky to get that win in overtime too. So it could have easily been a sweep for them. And I think we got to look now as LA's. We think LA, and some people might do it. I know I'm not. There's 3 players from the last Stanley Cup team, and that's Doughty, that's Lewis, and that's Kopitar. The rest is all new players from that era. So maybe we got to stop comparing LA to the teams that won the 3 cups over 3 or the 2 cups over 3 years. Not saying we are doing that, and maybe not everyone's doing it, but there's a different team. And I do think, go back to that comment about the 1-3-1. Obviously, when the coaching change was made, they did talk about with the management staff, do we stay with the 1-3-1 or do we go to something else? And they were pot committed with the 1-3 run. Now
so that's management doing that.
And it was management. And I'm getting that from the 32 Thoughts podcast with Jeff Merrick and Elliot Friedman, because they talked about it the other day on their podcast, saying that was a conversation that happened with Jim Hiller taking over, who was their assistant coach last year. And they stuck with the system because the management, Rob Blake, Mark Bergevin, all those guys were on board for it. So we'll see what happens. I think from what I understand, Jim Hiller has opportunities to go interview for other coaching jobs. They haven't necessarily said they're not bringing him back, but they're going to be open to some other
Hey, and at the end of the day, the Oil looked good.
And they did.
They look great.
You could see the progression and the growth and things that were in the past that were hindering them were things in the past.
We have depth. Yeah. We have that.
Boys, Dylan Holloway is going to be a player,
right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he will.
Not quite there yet.
Fuck
but
LA.
He's going to be good.
They're done.
Yeah. So let's transition over to this new series now before we get into the Leafs, just dissecting the Leafs here and whatnot. But Rick Tocchet playing a bit coy with the media today, not necessarily calling the Oilers divers, but he did call out any of the officials that are going to be covering this series, working this series, that he doesn't stand for anyone that dives. If anyone dives on his team, they will lose their ice time as quick as they get out there. He has no tolerance for anyone that dives, but he necessarily did not say the Oilers are diving, but he put the seed out there. and not saying they are. I know some media people that I was talking to the LA Kings in the stands. They did think the Oilers dive a lot. That was from the LA media. Yes, I was sitting with him in the stands, and
I heard that.
yeah, they thought, and Kelly Rudy called Leon Draisaitl. Now I understand Kelly Rudy works for the Calgary Flames on the Flames regional, but Kelly Rudy put it out on Hockey Night Canada. He called Leon Draisaitl one of the biggest divers in the National Hockey League. So
what?
Yeah, on the
friend
panel,
of the pod, Kelly.
Yeah, friend of the pod, and Kelly. Yeah. So he didn't say he dived on the play with Dubois, but he says Draisaitl has known to be one of the biggest divers in the National Hockey League. So, but
hey, if I've got a 95% power play, I'm diving.
Correct. Yeah.
I'm trying to get.
But so we see this series. Obviously, this is the Oilers played 3 of the 4 games under Jay Woodcroft, and I thought it was interesting. Jay Woodcroft saying on the Nick Kiprios and Justin Bourne show that he does not watch Oilers and hasn't watched any of the
liar. He's a liar.
He is a liar.
100% he is.
Right?
I found it interesting. He couldn't dive.
Listen,
I only watch the
Eastern
Conference. So I'm like,
let's say they go to win the cup. He has a lot to do with that.
Correct, he does.
Right?
He
So
should be
come
happy.
on.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting. He quickly went right. He's like, I watched a lot of Eastern games, but whatever.
Right.
You're watching every game.
He watches every Oiler
yeah,
game.
Exactly. So, but obviously the matchup, Canucks 4-0 in the regular season, but we've seen that really does not translate. Somewhat it does, somewhat it doesn't. Into the playoffs. Like Boston has swept the Florida Panthers in the regular season, so now they're playing each other in the second round. Now the same thing with Edmonton, but we saw Colorado get swept against the Winnipeg Jets, and they made easy work of the Winnipeg Jets. So, and Toronto, same thing. They got swept by the Bruins in the regular season, but they beat them 3 times in the playoffs. So necessarily those stats don't really matter. It's all zeros at the end of the day. But the thing is, this Vancouver Canucks team has not faced this Oilers team with the full force that they've been at since the coaching change. Besides the one game, they had that opportunity. But is it going to be a tough series to even match up to look at? Because, the Canucks are playing with their 3rd string goaltender for this series. Demko's out. So where are we at with this series, guys? Throw to you first here, closer.
Well, I think, number one, the Oilers are going to win in 6, obviously. But I think it's going to be so goddamn boring. I think it's going to be a ton of 2-1 shots for 24-19, or, just boring hockey. Because that's what Vancouver's going to do to have any chance to just check, and try to keep it close. That's really their only chance with their 3rd string goalie and not having the offensive depth that the Oilers have. It's going to be cool to watch because it's Vancouver versus Edmonton, but I do think it's going to be boring, which sucks personally. Well, how about you, Clay? What do you think, buddy?
See, I was thinking the opposite. I was thinking
I hope you're right.
They're going to be like try to run and gun because I get it. They're 3rd string, but at the end of the day, I don't think they're 3rd string. I think it's this
Arthur Seeloss. Yeah.
This guy won gold medal at the World Champion. Was it gold?
Mm-hmm.
Or
yeah. He's
for Latvia. I think it's his coming out party. So I think it's going to be, they're going to get more and more confident playing in front of him, and you'll probably, obviously the first couple of games will be tight, maybe, I don't know, but yeah, I don't know.
Pedersen's not going for the Canucks, right? There's a lot.
He's got to be injured.
This is here's I think Pedersen, they just signed him, right?
Correct. Yeah, he signed.
I don't think him and Talk could see eye to eye. So
there hasn't been a lot of talk about that. There's obviously more talk. Like there was a story that just came out the other day about Talkett and JT Miller, and they had it out. So JT.
See, I could see them seeing eye to eye and like a couple fuck you matches.
And they did have
which
one,
is fine, which is wicked.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's
you want
awesome.
that on a team.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, I'm telling you right now, I'm telling you, Elias Pettersson does not want to play for Rick Tocchet. And Quinn Hughes.
I can see that actually. That makes logical sense to me.
You like Quinn Hughes. Like listen, everybody's he's skilled, this, that, the other thing. you run him into the boards 4 or 5 times, he's eventually going to get tired and worn
in
out.
that series, right? He only had 5 assists in that series in 6 games.
Only 5 assists, say Bosco. That's it.
Right.
Well, you know,
right.
it's a guy you're thinking that's going to probably put up 10 points.
Warren Fogle hitting
you know?
you every time. Warren Fogle's
Yeah.
210. He's 195.
So there's the move. Chip it in his corner, soft chips
Right.
all day long.
Right.
Yeah.
I personally, I think it's going to be it is the playoffs. Everybody's going to buckle down defensively. I think it's going to be a freewheel matchup. I think it'll be.
You look at it like Nashville came in. I can't remember the exact date. I think it was around the halfway mark, just before they went on that 16-0 run that they had. But they had the second best offense in the National Hockey League to a certain date, like right behind the Oilers, and their power play was right behind the Oilers for percentage wise at a certain date. Now, and I say the certain date because that's all our friend Bob Stauffer does is a certain date. The Oilers are good at this date. The Oilers are good at this date. So it makes logical sense. So, you know, you're able to turn your season around. Now the Canucks are coming in a heavy underdog. That was talked about in their press conference today.
That's crazy too, right?
Yeah, and it is nuts. Like, you know, and that's the betting line. That's the people making the bets and all that. And maybe that's a Demko thing, not being in net, and you got a third string goaltender. But we've seen in the past. Look at Matt Murray when he won his first cup with the Penguins. He played 14 regular season games and won a cup. You know, Cam Ward.
Aiden Hill.
Yeah, Aiden Hill, Cam Ward. All these guys have done that. They've come in less regular season experience and, you know, have come in and done a good job. So at the end of the day, if you have structure in your play, and that series was tough. Like, it was a very grinded out kind of series. The Canucks only allowed 12 goals, and that's pretty decent in a series. So,
incredible.
You know, some teams allow 12 goals in the first maybe 2 to 3 games, for crying out loud. So I think in that aspect, it's going to be a tight series. I think it goes 7.
It's like any playoff series. Yeah. It's going to come down to special teams.
Correct. Yeah.
100%.
Edmonton clearly has.
And they dissected the best. They dissected the best PK in LA's, right? LA was the best penalty kill going into the playoffs for the Western Conference. Not, you know, and it like Brody said in the group.
You can't stop that.
Yeah.
You can't stop that.
Yeah. And like Brody
said, you guys see Kevin Bieksa's thing on how they changed their diamond?
Yeah. Yeah, you
like
were talking about it.
Completely change it, and then the others like, all right, we'll do this now. And they go, hey, go.
Yeah,
just never ending. It's unstoppable.
Yeah,
I hope it is jinx it, knock on wood, but
and it probably won't, because it's probably not going to be stopped, because in series you make adjustments, and adjustments come in a good way and sometimes come in a bad way, but often come in a good way because it's a 7-game series for a reason where you are going to have adjustments. And the good thing is there is a bit of a break between now and when the series starts, but once the series starts, they go. And a lot of it, I believe,
that concerns me.
The break between now and the start. I think, from what I understand, is
it's Wednesday.
The Canucks didn't. The Canucks didn't. They didn't vision that they were going to be in the playoffs. They were selling out concert dates for this time of the year. So because they didn't think
that's
at all.
Awesome.
So they were selling out concert dates during the time, opposite of what LA does in you know, the Crypto.com arena. The Lakers, the Clippers, and the Kings, from the end of the day of the regular season to June, they don't have any concerts at Crypto.com arena until the teams are out. So they don't book any concert dates or anything in that arena. The Canucks were opposite. They were booking concert dates and in live shows and everything in that arena. So, but now that's why there's a bit of a break between now and the start of this series.
I think it's a benefit that the Oil do start on the road, where they're, you know, it's going to be at least who knows when they're going to get there, and who cares, but they're going to get there and they're going to be prepared. They're going to, you know, have a couple days settle in and.
Typically you fly in the night before, but I can see the others flying tomorrow, to be honest. I don't know.
They're going to lose the first game because they're been resting for too long, right? That's usually the way it works.
Yeah,
it is.
It could be. It could still be a 1-goal game and you'll lose. Like, I don't think there'll be much blowouts in this series. I don't know. These coaches are pretty good. Obviously, Rick talked about Coach of the Year. I think Chris Knobloch should have got Coach of the Year. I'm not trying to say Andrew Burnett didn't deserve it, but he kind of got that coaching of the year, maybe award for a 16-game stretch during the year. And I'm saying the Oilers had a 16-game stretch, but the Oilers were firing on all cylinders pretty much a week after Knobloch came in.
Has there ever been a coach that came in
Usually
from
not.
a firing
It's,
and then he
it's
gets
pretty rare. It's pretty
yeah,
rare. Yeah.
It ain't
I'd have to go back.
You got to put your work in.
Yeah. There is something.
You guys see Knobloch's record when the Oilers score first?
Yeah, 21-0. So
perfect.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
21-0 when they score
that's
at home.
That's good
at home.
to know betting wise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is good. Yeah. They are
right there in your phone because you had a few wines in you now.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't forget that by tomorrow morning.
But this series will be fun to watch. There's obviously some great power on both ends of this team, obviously in certain different ways. But
it'll be fun. It'll be a good
series. We'll see what Lindholm.
It'll be awesome.
Yeah, it will be awesome. We'll see if Lindholm is somewhat of a two-way player. What matchup does he get? But it is obviously pretty hard to stop Connor and Leon. They're going to get their cookies as they are. I do think 5-on-5, the Oilers we'll see the Oilers 5-on-5 game show a little bit better because there's no 1-3-1 that they're going to play. So I think there'll be some more goals, some more support goals from the 5-on-5 side of it and that aspect. So go ahead, Brody.
With going back to the Oilers again with our D, was there one game again, guys, in this playoff so far in the 5 games that they've played where either of you said, oh my God, anything positive or negative about CC or Kulak?
No, you obviously
right.
Kulak starts.
They're just good, man.
Yeah, and Kulak obviously starts the year as a number 6 defenseman, and every year in the playoffs, dating back to his time with the Montreal Canadiens, where they won to the Cup final against the Tampa Bay Lightning, he becomes a top 4 defenseman. So it is,
and gets ripped on the whole year by media for some reason.
Yeah, and I don't know how. That's the guy that's going to be gone this summer, though, right? Like you have to make room for Broberg, and is Kulak the guy that you got to make room for Broberg? Like,
I
don't know, man. I don't know.
We'll find out.
Yeah, there's obviously it is interesting. It was funny because when I was sitting there talking to the Kings staff for a little bit there, I was just saying, like, how do you guys, like, the one thing I asked was, like, obviously they've been around Cup teams and stuff like that. And one interesting thing, I think it was Bergevin that said it. He's like, you already know 6 to 8 guys, regardless of whatever your success is in the playoffs, if whether you win a cup or you don't win a cup, you already know 6 or 8 guys aren't coming back next year. So it's like they already have it written down. It was just interesting to hear that mindset from a manager. Just kind of when you sit there and pick their brain a little bit, but yeah, we'll see what happens on that. I'm looking forward to it. It'll be good. At least we know we have a Canadian team going into the Final Four. So that'll be interesting. And one interesting note: out of the 8 teams left, 7 of the 8 teams have Canadian head coaches. The one team is an American head coach, and that's Peter Laviolette with the New York Rangers. All the other coaches are Canadian. That's just a little fun fact for me. I think that's pretty cool that
it's unfortunate that whatever team is going to run into Dallas,
they're good.
Yeah, we'll get there in a second.
Wyatt Johnson, man, my God, is he good?
Rich Peverly scouted that kid, and all credit goes to him and that staff there. They've done such a great job. We'll get to the Stars in a second. Let's move over to let's dissect the Leafs here real quick. And
quick. This ain't gonna be real quick.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously the Leafs put out their media email this evening. So interesting note that in the last 8 years, this is a trend that they have not done. And speaking in this, usually when their season is ended, everyone speaks a couple of days later. So the players and Sheldon Keefe will speak tomorrow. And normally in their press conference release, saying they'll note what managers will speak. Case in point, general manager Brad Treliving, or obviously Kyle Dubas. So in the past, this will be Treliving's first summer as a GM. And speaking after playoffs, he came in once Kyle Dubas was let go. But in the press conference release, they said that management, quote unquote, just management, will speak on Thursday. So it's just players and Keefe tomorrow. Normally it's Keefe and the managers and Brendan Shanahan's all speaking together after the players speak. So So I'm interested to see how that's going to unfold in terms of Keith Pelly is the new president and CEO for the Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment. And it is not going good now for that organization. There's a lot of, the Blue Jays aren't doing good. The Raptors aren't doing good that good. The Leafs haven't done good in quite some time. And Toronto FC is going through their ups and downs too. So those and the Argos of maybe the only team that has done really good in that organization. But I'm interested to see. Obviously, Austin Matthews did not want to play into what his injury was. He said he would talk about it, but not that night after the season was over. But I guess I can go first on this.
Well, you should.
Yeah, as a Leaf fan, not shocking. Obviously, this is how they do it to us as fans, is the most heartbreaking possible way as possible. They just like to toy with you. There's like an ex-girlfriend or whatever, just likes to just play his multiple head games in that. But at the end of the day, as the title of the podcast says, the Toronto Maple Leafs Core 4 is no more. It is now a Core 2. And I'll take the Core 2, quote unquote, from Darren Dreger.
Core 2.
I would, yes. And I'm going to take the quote unquote from, this is where I think, so the Core 2 didn't come from me. That came from Darren Dreger last night on the post-game show. Darren Dreger, friend of the pod, said, we have to look at this as the Core 2 now. You have to move on from Tavares and you got to move on from Mitchell Marner. So those are the two players that you would ask to sit down with in exit meetings. They both control their destiny because they have full no move clause. So it's up to them to get traded and want to trade. I do think regardless if Tavares stays, he has to hand over the captaincy, just like we saw in San Jose for a couple of years where it was Marleau and then Marleau to Thornton and Thornton to Marleau. And
who cares?
So this is Austin Matthews' team. So that's just one thing I'm just talking about there. But at the end of the day, we talk about stats and obviously Bob Stauffer put it up today. The points probably matter in some which way because it helps you get through. But, this series, I've never experienced anything like it before with Austin Matthews missing games, from William Nylander missing games to Elliot Freeman dropping a bomb before Game 7 and Joseph Woll not playing because he got hurt on a nothing play that he didn't need to jump across the ice for and got hurt on. So,
of course he had to jump across. It's his job.
Yeah, but it's a nothing play. You're up 2-0, right? Didn't matter if Boston scored there, but whatever, it happened anyways. But and I do agree with Kelly Rudy, friend of the pod. I do think Samsonov could have made that play, could have made a better play on that. But at the end of the day, like Jeff O'Neill said too, in a game where there was no ice, no open ice for anyone, in the most critical point of the game, there was free ice for Pasternak to make a world-class play because he's a world-class player. The Leafs didn't really get that on that end. They got it with Nylander throughout the series when he got in. Matthews had his one moment where he got open and free and got the game-winning goal in Game 2. But, Marner was invisible pretty much all series. Tavares was the same thing, but we saw Tavares take a big drop-off halfway through the year. He was not the same player around the 30-game mark. He started off good. Once the 30-game mark, he was down. But one thing I don't think we can argue, though, I do give the Leafs credit. They did play a really defensive game. That for a back end that's not very household name, they did hold the Boston Bruins to a tight checking series when it really mattered. Not in points where it should have mattered, but they did lose the series on not playing a good Game 3 and a Game 4 at home, and their special teams horrendous. And their special teams have been horrendous since Matthews and Marner and Nylander era has started. Like if you go back, I think their power play is 8 for 68 since those in playoffs. So that's
2 out of the 3 guys want touches.
Yeah. So
they all want to handle the puck.
Yeah. So it is tough in that aspect, but some bright sides, Joseph Woll.
And if Marner doesn't get touches, his old man probably fucking reads out fucking
losing it. The only way I look at this changing is that Brendan Shanahan unfortunately is gone. If Brendan Shanahan stays, Mitch Marner gets $13 or $14 million this summer. If Shanahan
Toronto,
stays. Yeah. If Shanahan,
you want that as a Leafs fan?
No, you don't. But because Shanahan has been all in on this for 10 years. He's been with the organization for 10 years, 1 playoff win in 10 years. but he is so pot committed to this core of 4 players.
Do you really think it's Shanahan?
100%. Every year, Vandy, he gets in front of that microphone, in front of those cameras, and says, "I believe in this core." Every year, he is not changing it. So if Brendan Shanahan,
I find that hard to believe that a guy like Brendan Shanahan,
Me too,
believes in those 4
go back
guys.
and go on YouTube.
And not only because it's just that core,
right?
Because it's that money that's allocated, and he grew up he won because Nick Lidstrom was back there playing 30 minutes a night for right every single series. That seems odd to me.
Yeah. So, but every year he stands in front of that microphone at the end of the year when these things happen, and he believes in these core players, and he gives them what they want. And so, and they said it on, I know this is my analysis too, but it's also everyone on TSN. All those guys have been on this podcast. They said the same thing.
And they're right all the time.
Are they right? The TSN guys or no?
Yeah.
Well, I'm just,
I'm just saying, right
I'm not saying that they're right or wrong. I'm just saying that the proof is in the pudding, because Shanahan comes out and says it. He's like, we're not changing the core. We believe in the core. And then he gives them most amount of money that they want. So Mitch Marner, if
then he should be fired.
He should, but if Mitch Marner stays, if Shanahan stays, then Mitch Marner stays. Tavares will stay for his last year, and then they'll give it another go. But nothing will change, because you cannot win with $46 million tied into 4 players. It's impossible. No team has done it. No team has ever come close to even doing it. So, that has to change. And that goes back to the comment that Darren Dreger said. We have to look at this team as the core 2. You have to build around the long-term contract that Nylander signed and the long-term contract Matthews signed. After that, then you have to see. Now, are you going to get a big return on, Mitch Marner because you already know what his playoff success is? Probably not, right? So
who's going to take him? Honestly.
Yeah.
So what's his contract? $9 million for how many more years?
He's got 1 more year left at $11 million, and he's up for a contract the same time as Drysdale's up for a contract, which is just July 1st.
So maybe you could trade him at the deadline, but nobody's taking him in the offseason for any sort of. You're getting zero value. If you can get out from that contract, that's unbelievable, right? If you can ship him off for nothing, right? $11 million, eat $2, $3, $4 million, and get a $6-7 million defenseman, you're way better off.
Yeah, and he holds the cards, but what True Living has to do this week in the exit meeting is say, we're moving on from you. We need 10 teams. Do you want to give us a list to go to? And then, but he could easily say, no, I'm not leaving here. And, I'll just play out my contract and become a UFA at the end of the year. And that's what you would have to just do. Unfortunately,
but nobody wants to play for a team that doesn't want you.
You probably don't, right?
They're stubborn, they're competitive, they don't want that.
Right.
Yeah. But he is the easy whipping boy for it. In 7 games, he had 3 points. He had 1 goal, 2 assists. Pretty much was, in my opinion, invisible. But what am I like? I'm not a National Hockey League player. I think I do give respect to every person that plays even 1 game in the National Hockey League. It takes a lot of talent to get there. But when the going gets tough, he's not in the moments of doing it. And you could say what you want. We don't know what Matthews played with, but we do see, that when it comes to playoff time, it's tough for him. William Nylander performs. I can't criticize.
He was awesome.
I can't criticize Nylander. Every year he shows up. He does what he has to do, and that's it. And that's good. For the most part, under that contract, and I know that's a bad contract for the next year for $11 million for Tavares, but he's succeeded that contract throughout. This was the only year that contract was really, really bad. Other than that, he was a point per game player, if not over a point per game player in the contract. But but the fact that you can't get over the hump, and at the end of the day too, Sheldon Keefe.
No, he was brought here to win, Bosco.
He was
brought there.
That was the point of him.
Yeah, and I agree, but it's. When I look at it, you see these teams that go on and they win Stanley Cups is because their top players still end up performing. They get those big goals at the right moments. They do the right things. They lead the right way. So there were some successes, like Matthew Nyes performed really well for a guy that doesn't put up a lot of points and hasn't put up a lot of points even in college. He did a good job throughout the series. And
he was excellent.
And we didn't like Max Domi and Bertuzzi didn't perform at the level that they did at the start.
No, Max
getting
did.
there, but
Max Domi was awesome.
I'm meaning at the start of the season.
Awesome.
at the start of the season. As the season got on, those guys were value for the contracts that they signed for. So Joel Edmondson played good too.
Give me playoffs. I don't give a shit what they.
I agree.
You know what, Bosco,
at the beginning of the year, you're making the playoffs.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's why you bring in Max Domi, Tyler Bertuzzi. That's why you bring these guys in.
And Joseph Paul has a 1-year contract at $700,000 next year. So, and then you find yourself a backup, and he has shown when he can stay healthy, he can take the load.
That's the thing.
It's when you stay healthy.
How old is he?
Best ability is availability. He's only 24 years old, I believe.
And how many times does he get hurt every year?
Right.
He's hurt about 3 times a year. So
it's too many.
And his injuries are long-term injuries. Like they're not just he's out for a week. He's out for 3 months every time he's hurt. So, and
when he comes back, he's 80%.
Yeah. So,
all I know, Bosco and Clay, my kids watched it. They're Toronto fans. And they're sitting there every time number 2 touched the puck. They're like, oh my God, he's so bad. Benoit, he's horrific. He can't even stick out. Look at this guy. He can't even make a pass. And he's playing 20 minutes a night. You're not winning with that decor. Hence, you can't win with those 4 guys up front eating all of that cap.
Yeah.
And it's going to be almost impossible to get rid of Tavares. You can't get rid of Tavares. Marner, you're lucky if you can eat money and get rid of him for free, right?
Yeah.
That's a fact. Unless it's at a deadline, then you're getting first-round pick or something. But
yeah, that's their third pair. That's their second pairing, and that second pairing makes under $4 million. So Jake McCabe's $2 million, and Simone Benoit.
That doesn't make it okay. That makes it a necessity.
But those guys, but they didn't get exposed though in the series, though, right?
Oh my God. The reason that why do you think the Leafs couldn't score, buddy?
They didn't get scored on though in the series.
I don't care. Why did they not score with all that power up front? They couldn't get the puck.
I'm just saying, that's not his job though, right?
Of course it is.
Simone Benoit is not an offensive defenseman. He's a stay.
I'm not saying he's an offensive defenseman, but he's going to go back and get a puck and pass it up. Yeah. And he doesn't have the ability to do that, and that's not his fault.
No, it's
not his fault. He's playing 20 minutes a night. He should be playing 6 minutes.
We'll agree to disagree on that one.
No. Disagree.
I thought Kevin Bieksa showed a great highlight pack of him, and it's legit. You're not going to get the most meat potato game. I mean, the most skilled game out of him because that's not his game. But I don't think Simone Benoit cost them the series.
No,
he's.
I didn't say that either. But
the
collective group on the back end is not able to transport the puck up to the forward. So let Nylander go do his thing. Let Marner go do his thing. Let these guys do their thing.
That's like asking Vincent Desharnais to go.
I agree. I'm not saying that. Yeah. I'm not saying Vincent Desharnais is able to do that. I'm saying he's forced into those minutes because the top 4 makes X amount of dollars. That all that money is allocated.
I agree. They need another puck moving defenseman. Morgan Riley struggled in somewhat the last couple of games. That Pasternak goal, that's on Marner. Then it goes down to Riley.
That's not on Marner. That's on the goalie, and it's on Riley. That's not Marner's guy.
Yeah, but Marner was watching him just run right by him.
I agree. That's still not his guy.
Brody.
So
that's not Marner.
Guy.
I thought it was
Marner. Shoulder check.
I agree, but it's not his job to chase him back to the near post. That's not his job.
In overtime?
Not his job.
I think it was. That's just my. But I also thought Samsonov could have made a play on the puck too. He was so
could have. He should have.
Well, he should have, but he was so far deep in his net and just kind of watched.
3 feet from.
Oh God. Yeah. We're dissecting a fucking nice move, a backhand.
Oh, it's a great move. It's It's a world play.
That's Mitch Marner.
Players.
Blue line in.
No
it's overtime. Find your fucking dude.
You just watched him go in. I don't know. That's just my thought. That's my thought.
And he was hoping there was a turnover at the blue line.
He was. Yeah. So
either way, you're missing my point. Benoit sucks, and it's not his fault. Yeah, he should be a 6-7 defense. He should be Desharnais is who he should be, but he's not. He's forced into higher minutes because they're allocating all that money to the big boys. That's a fact.
Well, it's definitely a fact. I'm not going to disagree with that, but I'm not going to sit here and say Simone Benoit cost them the series. And again, I'm not.
And nobody said that.
I know. I know you're not saying that. But his analytic numbers and everything, all his numbers check off the high boxes. So
he's fine. Yeah, I agree. He's fine, but
that it's pairing, pretty rare. They never got pairing. Didn't get caved in. Right? So, But they do definitely need another defenseman that can help Morgan Riley out moving the puck.
Two defensemen. They need 2 top 4 defensemen.
Well,
they do. If you want to be a Stanley Cup contender, they need.
But they already have one though in Morgan Riley.
That's one. He ain't that good.
He is one. So
that's one. I agree. That's one. So now you got 1 out of 4 spots.
So you need one more to separate.
No, you need 3 more. But if you can get 2, so you have 3 legit top 4 defensemen. That's pretty good in a salary cap era.
Yeah.
They have one.
And that's the trade. That's the trade if you can trade Marner. But as I looked last night,
nobody's giving you a good
I don't see that
Marner.
trade happening. I don't see you're getting
Marner ain't getting you shit.
Yeah, you're not getting a good defenseman for Marner. I'll tell you that.
You're going to get a trade, but you're not going to get anything that's going to be hold value in
no chance. Yeah.
So, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter that you go to Game 7. The outcome is still the outcome, and you lost. So, and when you needed guys to perform, they just didn't perform. So, and again, it's like I had this argument the other day and last night with people. It's the same thing I said earlier about the LA Kings. We got to stop looking at the LA Kings as the LA Kings that have won these Stanley Cups. We got to stop looking at Matthews and Marner as these 2 guys that go out and, I hate kudos. Like Matthews up for the Selke, first time nomination for the Selke. He's a great 2-way player. He's unbelievably offensively. But, at the end of the day in the playoffs, you get measured on wins in Stanley Cups. So it's the same.
Matthews got nominated for the Selke
today. Yeah.
Oh, for fuck's sakes! Yeah. If he's if he's playing in Dallas, do you really think he's getting nominated
for the Selke? This is the first time.
No fucking
nominated.
Chance.
This is the
first
He's
time. Not though. He's playing in Toronto.
It's his first time getting nominated, right?
It's the same thing as Marner. Like, you think Marner's getting nominated for an award? Like,
you know what Marner is? Marner is Jeff Skinner. That's who Marner is.
100%.
Yeah, but Jeff Skinner's put up a lot of goals, though, right? And Marner's more.
I just mean
Marner's done shit.
Yeah, Jeff Skinner's never played.
Neither have done shit. They're both really skilled and don't do a lot of when it matters. He's Jeff Skinner. Sorry, pal.
And Skinner's
Mitch Marner is your prototypical pushed hard by dad hockey player.
I agree. I'm not going to disagree with that. But that's the same
get him out of Ontario and bury him in Wheeling, Virginia.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't know what. I have a lot of respect for. I have a lot of respect for Tree Living. Been very good to me over the years. We'll see what he can do. This is not an easy.
Hey, I ate at Bosco Pizza last night.
Yeah,
I've given Brad.
Of course you did. You're on a kid's trip for sports. That's what you do. And he probably had Subway for lunch too.
They had a good talk. They had a really good talk about Boston Pizza on Hockey Night Canada last night, Ron McLean. So shout out to Jim Tree Living, the founder of Boston Pizza.
The best thing that can happen to the Leafs, Marner goes and Tavares
goes. Yeah.
Does.
Yeah. But it'll be hard.
But reality, one of them is gone. And it's Marner's the only option, really. Yeah. Nobody's taking Tavares.
No, for sure.
Nobody's taking Nylander. They're not trading Nylander, and they're clearly not trading Matthews. And he's the only guy that's gone as Marner.
Yeah, and you don't have that situation faced in front of you with Arizona now, right? Like Utah's not going to be that market where you can just jump a contract at again.
Yeah.
So there's no team in the NHL that's doing that now. Arizona's done.
Right.
So you don't have that grenade to just go, here you go. You're going to get $11 million because.
But that's a good fit for them, though. Yeah. If they want to load up and sell tickets and.
It is because they do need to get to the floor because they got no contracts.
Yeah,
exactly. Who are you trading? Who are you giving up?
Who cares? You're trading nothing as conditional pick. Get rid of that contract. Who cares? And a bad contract.
Yeah, you're not getting a conditional pick. Like obviously,
you're not getting anything.
Yeah. Well, you're going to get
a bad contract back. You're getting.
Yeah,
you're going to give him up for nothing.
$11 million.
Yeah, but you're not like obviously.
No, but you're not giving Marner up for nothing.
Yeah,
he won't be able to get rid of Marner. I agree, he can play, but you got 1 year in a contract and $11 million. His value is zero.
Oh,
it is. You got to get back a $5 million player. No. That's what you got to get back.
It's not and then zero. The kid can play.
So you tell me then, who has the ability, just even to say, How many teams have the ability to take on $11 million contract?
Right.
The answer is like one or two.
Well, right now I haven't, like, obviously with the
Salt
salary
Lake
cap going
isn't
up,
one
the
of them.
salary cap's going up $5 million, right? So
Still, you're not blowing that on Mitch Martin. I'll tell you that much.
You know,
honestly,
Good call.
I
Yeah.
honestly
nobody
believe he'll be traded
thought
for.
nobody thought we were going to do. LA was going to do that with Pierre-Luc Dubois. It's the same thing. I know 8.5 is different than 11 million, but look at Dubois. Like my point to that is like
we don't know Marner's dad. He may be a good salesman.
So, in your guys' opinion, what is the value for Mitch Marner? What could you get for him?
You're going to get a defenseman, whether depending the grade of the top four, he will be a top four defenseman somewhere. So you're going to get that, and you're going to get a top six, probably maybe six, but maybe a top forward, more or less a prospect, and then you're going to get a first round pick. So
you think you're getting a first round pick, a top four defenseman, and a player?
I think
for 1 year.
At least you're getting. Well, it's probably not going to be 1 year because you're probably going to be. It'll probably end up being a sign and trade because you're not trading that just to get.
You're fucking crazy, Bosco. If you think that's the value.
Yeah, but Brad Treliving.
What do you think?
Brad Treliving might as well just fire himself the second he takes a conditional pick back. He's not taking a conditional pick. He'll probably
stick with him and trade him for a first round pick at the deadline.
You know what he probably would do, because Shanahan will probably stay and Marner will get $14 million on July 1st. That's what I think might happen.
What? Jesus.
Yeah.
What do you think his value is, Clay?
Because it'll be easy to fire coaches, right? We're seeing.
Hang on. He's definitely not like. I'm thinking like comparing him to like a Max Domi. Only his contract is
awful.
Yeah.
He got that contract because his dad went on Toronto radio and bitched about it, and then Toronto just gave in. Dubas said, "Here you go. Tell me what you want to sign for," and they gave it to him. That's how that worked.
Wow. With Marner?
Yeah. So how you guys don't know how that contract worked?
No.
Yeah. Lou Lamoriello got fired. Shanahan fired Lou Lamoriello. He was supposed to be there for 5 years. He was only there for 3 years. So he had years left on his contract. They fired him. They handed because Colorado, interesting. Colorado wanted to hire Kyle Dubas. Good thing they didn't, because they wouldn't have won that cup. But they wanted to hire Kyle Dubas. The Leafs blocked him to go interview with the Colorado Avalanche, and then they gave him the GM position, and they fired Lou Lamoriello, who they never should have fired, and went into that summer where Marner was a RFA, and it was right around towards the end of the year. There were so much things going on, and his dad went on Toronto radio and bitched and moaned about because you're not wrong about talking to his dad. His dad went on Toronto radio. It was called Leafs Lunch at the time, and cried about what was going on with his son. And then 2 weeks later, Kyle Dubas said, "Here you go. Here's $11 million." Well, it's technically $10.93 million because his favorite player.
Hey, then
so it's 11.
You ain't getting shit for him.
Yeah. So that's
there you go.
That's how the contract.
Definitely getting a first round pick, a top four defenseman, and a top 9 forward. It ain't happen.
No.
My guess is that's probably what the going rate and the asking price is. Is it
that's
legit
fine.
top 6?
Yeah, ask whatever you want.
Yeah, you 100%.
What is he? He's a legitimate.
If anything, you get a
90-point guy.
Second.
90-point
He's
guy.
a legit 90-point guy every year. Yeah.
Yeah. He had 99 was his career high. So he's an 80 assist player.
But
much mostly
shit
all
in the
along.
playoffs.
And he's really not. If you look at his stats, he's okay.
I get it.
This was his worst.
He's on the Toronto Maple Leaf, so his value is plummeted because he's on a loser.
Right. This was his worst
Bosco
he's ever had. So it's up to Treliving to try to make a trade for that, right? And it's up to a GM to see if they want that, which most GMs do, because it's hard to get talent and skill at the end of the day. And because you're a first round player, you're going to get opportunity after opportunity after opportunity.
But it's 1 year. Unless you're locking them in for.
Yeah, I mean, you're like, that's the whole. That's the whole thing with
longer than 1.
Yeah, you're not like, obviously, Brody. Yeah, like when you get a return like that, it's in confidence that it's it's a sign and trade is pretty much how that would be, right? You're not trading.
It would have to be. They have any hope of that.
Yeah, my guess is if that's not what the return is, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to test free agency, then yeah, your window of getting a return is much slim. That's up to Tree Living to try to find that, or Marner wanted to go somewhere where he thinks he can sign long term at, right? But you know, regardless if whatever the new team he's going to, he's not signing for $11 million again. So
why the fuck? Explain to me how
that guy is at least getting $13 million all day long with any other team he's going to.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But you're right.
Me as a Pee-wee coach, I'd bury that family.
Yeah.
I don't care how good they are. Like, if they're talking shit on fucking CBC radio,
I agree with.
First of all, they're on CBC, so nobody's listening. And I'm like,
the government's listening though, because they're paying.
I would bury that family and make sure that they never play hockey again. Go play.
No, Bosco's getting angry.
No, I'm not getting angry. It's your opinion at the end of the day.
Like, first of all, how does this kid from Toronto make $11 million? And we saw him verbally abuse his son on national television.
It's crazy, eh? And he's a little boy.
That's what Sean Avery said. He's frail. He doesn't work. He's not spent probably one day hard in the gym. And Sean Avery came out with a video saying that too. Like,
I love it. I love Sean.
Hey, I was the other day. I was with my uncle, Pete's Concrete. I was with Pete, and we were talking about it. And I was showing him like clips. I was like, "Look, 50-50 puck." And actually, a couple times on a 50-50 puck, it was probably actually a 60-40 puck. Marner had the edge on the player. Didn't even go into the corner. Let the player go get the puck first. And especially in Game 6 and Game 7, a lot of examples.
My wife has watched a little bit of hockey, and she said Pasternak's scoring was Marner's fault.
Well, it wasn't, but okay.
Whose fault?
It was Samsonov's and Riley's fault.
Yeah, he said Samsonov, Riley.
How is it Samsonov's fault? It was a fucking deke by a top 5
came out and
goal scorer in the NHL.
Yeah, and that came. Marty Brion said the same thing today on the Sunday brunch on satellite radio. Former goalie too. That's in Kelly Ruth said
Marner is looking.
He said he should have came out and played the puck.
Where's he looking?
I agree.
He's looking right at him.
Here's my thoughts. Reality is you have never coached a player when a cross dump and whatever you want to call it goes, and you're telling the forward winger to go back to get it. It's go back and get the puck.
So
it's not Marner's fault.
What would your
there's videos on Twitter that it's Nylander's fault, and he's just going lazily going back to the middle of the ice. Well, of course he's the centerman. He's going back waiting for a breakout pass.
Yeah. What's your thoughts when? So obviously the way the play happened, Pasternak's on the ice before Marner. Marner gets on the ice as he sees Pasternak come whining with full speed in front of Leafs bench. So he's not really like he's kind of just getting on the ice. But would you put your head like the only way I look at that is there was a play earlier in the game where Matthew Nyes was about 10 feet back and he got up and he was the guy taking that player and took that player out from creating a scoring chance.
What should have happened in my world?
Yeah.
If it's
that's
reality.
The way I look at it, like because that got blown up on Hockey Night Canada, where it's like, look at what Nyes is doing. He's 3 neutral zones away from where the play is, and then he gets back and takes a goal away.
He should not have been what in reality, and like we can say this should happen, but probably what should have actually happened is he comes off the bench. That's clearly a set play. It's a set breakout.
Correct.
All 5 guys should see Pasternak dump that off and loop, and we're like, okay, the puck is going to end up with him. Yeah. He is buzzing right now. So Marner should be yelling at Riley, hey, Riley, look at this. This guy's coming. He's 100 miles an hour and right beside me right now.
Yeah.
Heads up.
And then
Riley should know. All 5 of them should know it's ending up with Pasternak's stick.
And then would it be Riley's job to notify Samsonov on anything coming in that play with that puck coming in, or is that just more Samsonov?
Yeah, all of them should be yelling.
Yeah.
Or Samsonov should be yelling, I can't get it, I can't get it, or I can get it, I can't get it. Either way, Riley should be buzzing back there to get that puck. Worst case, just one hand stick, chip it in the corner.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely not Marner's fault.
Oh, okay. All right. We'll leave Marner alone. We'll leave Marner alone for 10 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Okay, let's shift gears real quick, go over to the other series that have already started and are going to start. Obviously, Vegas out. A lot of people are pretty happy
fuck them.
A lot of people are pretty happy about that, but probably not giving Verdant Fiddler's team a lot of love here. Fiddler's at pretty much every game, even on the road, and that's the Dallas Stars. You guys talked about it earlier. Wyatt Johnson, Vandy, you were talking about Logan Stankoven, Stanky Leg, as they like to call him. Just a great drafting and developing team in Dallas, and that's not shocking because we saw the Detroit Red Wings be so good at that, and all those guys from Detroit went over to Dallas with Jim Nill, who used to be with the Detroit Red Wings too. But Vandy, your thoughts on the Stars, the powerhouse team that we're seeing here, and Jay Gottinger is right into where we thought he was in that series against the Calgary Flames a couple years back.
Like Dallas is they could play what do you want? They're similar to Edmonton, where they can play. You want to go run and gun? All right, Robertson, way you go. I watched the game tonight, and I'm like, Robertson he played, but like they're rolling 4 lines. They're so deep.
5D, so Lundqvist is playing. So
and Hakanpää isn't even dressing.
Yeah,
right. So whether he comes back and Tanev gets out, it doesn't matter. Dallas they're a good team. They're good. They're stacked. Pete DeBoer
8-0 in Game 7s.
Right.
It's crazy.
Daryl Sutter 8-3. That's the next closest record.
And he got Ben. Like you get that captain that he'll bite your ear off for a nickel.
Yeah.
And then right, he
what's scary is Pavelski didn't do much in this series, and he's
nothing.
He's going to.
Robertson didn't do anything.
Yeah, he's going to do something.
Wyatt Johnson, 19 years old, no big deal. Like,
jeez, eh?
Yeah,
looked like he was 27 years old tonight.
Right.
Got a couple cups under his belt already. Feels like, right?
And listen, let's Vegas. Question Stone coming back early, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
But, no. Dallas
is them.
Right.
Yeah. Well, this is Dallas's due, right? And conference final last year, lost Game 7 against the Vegas Golden Knights, who obviously went on to win the Stanley Cup. So they've had some close runs here, and they've done really good. They really didn't do much at the deadline besides bring Chris Tanev in. That was their only big move and their only move.
It's a good move,
right? So, and how great he was.
Yep.
This kid got cut from so many teams and then quit playing hockey for 2 years, went and played lacrosse, and then got him and his brother, Brandon Tanev, begged to come back and play hockey, and both are in the National Hockey League. Tanev undrafted. So, Chris Tanev. So obviously, a great guy. Also a pretty cool story is when he went to Dallas placed Joel Hanley on waivers, and he ended up getting picked up by the Flames, and Tanev gave his house to him in Calgary. So
yeah, that's pretty cool. I saw that.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. But I think they're good. Thomas Harley on the back end with Miro Heiskanen. That's a pretty good pair. That's another guy that only played I think he played 6 games last year and then played 19 playoff games. And, look at where he's at now this year with a full season under his belt, and, just very well drafted and developed team. And, I think Pavelski will get going here, and same with Robinson. I know they haven't had the year that they had last year, but you would think that those guys will get going. And, Colorado won 3 of the 4 games this year against them. So that'll be a good matchup at the end of the day, regardless. But, Brody, your thoughts on the Stars and what you're seeing from them in this series that they're going to have against them with the Colorado Avalanche, who are now firing at all cylinders too.
I think that's going to be the best series,
right?
Bar none. I don't think it's going to even be close. That's the one I want to watch, and I really am not looking forward to the Oilers having to play them or go through them, because they're a wagon.
Yeah,
just so like Clay said, they're deep. You want to play 1-0? Okay, we're in. You want to play 6-5? We're in.
Structured,
big, strong, fast, deep, unbelievable goalie. That team really worries me as an Oilers fan. I know they got to get through Vancouver, but God, they're a wagon. A wagon. They might win it all.
They might. They very well might.
Yeah.
And that might bode well for Paul Bissonnette, who loved the blonde girl behind the bench, who ended up.
Yeah, well, we all did.
I tagged her on
We all love
Instagram.
the blonde girl.
Yeah, I tagged her on Instagram, and she shared my that on her own story on Instagram tonight. She actually messaged.
What's her deal? Is she a stripper? What's her deal?
I think she's just a model from Toronto that lives in Dallas, from what I understand.
Okay.
So, yeah, always at Dallas Stars games, but yeah, she's
Yeah, they are. I mean, yeah, she is.
yeah, she's Canadian, and I don't know if she's a stripper or what her deal is, but yeah,
we're a fan though.
Yeah, exactly.
2 months is a fan.
Yeah, so that was pretty. Yeah, she shared 2 months her tag on Instagram. So Paul Bissonnette actually liked it too. So it was funny because they had to cut him off in the intermission because I don't know if you guys seen that. Because the Dallas has that famous glass banger. And,
yeah.
So Anson Carter is talking about glass bang, and then Biz goes, which glass banger are you talking about? and then Liam McHugh was like, we're gonna talk about, and then he goes, because in the first intermission or in the first period, Jackie Redmond did an interview with Pete DeBoer, and obviously it was right behind where she was, and so Biz goes, can we get more in-game Pete DeBoer interviews? And that's when Liam McHugh had to stop. He's like, hey, no, we're
done here.
Yeah, we're done with that. We're gonna talk about it
Go
later.
back to the Jackie Redmond interview. She's unbelievable.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting too. I don't know if you guys saw the clip of Biz getting roasted on the panel, and then Craig Berube, aka Chief, giving him the gears, and then he goes, listen, he's like, you keep chirping me. I mean, he's like, I'm going to announce you're the new Leafs head coach starting tomorrow. So and Chief did not like that. He gave him a quite dirty look, but obviously Craig Berube, interesting guy. He's been interviewed in a lot of markets right now, but the series is going to be good. Obviously I know we're going pretty late here, but the Rangers series already got started. They're up 1-0 over Carolina, 4-3 win. A pretty rugged series there. I don't know how much you guys saw that game tonight.
0.
Okay.
Yeah, right. I didn't.
And then just a quick thought. Yeah, Matthew Tkachuk got a jab at the Toronto Maple Leafs this morning at his press conference. I thought that was pretty interesting, but
it was awesome.
Yeah, so there's nothing wrong with that. We want players to speak. Hey, if they speak, we can't criticize it, right? So
personality.
Exactly. So but that's a rematch of the first round last year. So we'll, they don't really get much time off, so they get going tomorrow night. So that'll be an interesting series how that goes.
Oil 5.
You say
Oil in 5.
You say Oilers in 5?
Oil 5.
Oil 5.
I say Oil 6. Oil 6.
I say Oilers in 7. And then I think this Florida series will be Bruins in 7. I think the Rangers in 6, and I'm going to pick Dallas in 7 over Colorado. So
you said Bruins 7?
Bruins in 7, yeah. I think Bruins. Bruins.
I got Florida in 5.
What?
Oh, you go ahead, Clay.
Okay, Oil 5, Panthers. Okay, let's go 6. Rangers 7. And Dallas,
Colorado.
I'm gonna go Dallas 6.
Dallas 6. Okay.
I'm going Dallas 7. I'm going Rangers in 7. I'm going Florida in 5. Oilers in 6.
All right. I still think the Rangers and Oilers is a cup final.
Okay, what are your picks?
I just said it. Yeah, I said.
You just said them. Yeah. Come on, Clay. Put the red wine down.
Exactly. Yeah. All right, we're
it's
pretty late.
It's 11:30.
I know. Let's wrap up. We'll be back later this week. Probably. We'll see. We'll get another podcast out, but looking forward to chatting with everyone again. And Vandy, you have anything else to plug before we sign out?
Nope, I'm good.
Closer.
I'm done, buddy. Let's go to bed Sunday night.
All right. Have a fun night. Take care, guys. Have a good night,
boys.